Good afternoon, class. Now today we see the types of machine learning. So in the last lecture we have seen what is the machine learning. Okay, and in this lecture we will see what are the different types of the machine learning. So as you know that there are the three types of machine learning basically: supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning. Okay, here what do you mean by the supervised machine learning? The supervised machine learning means here there is one supervisor and you have to perform the task under the supervision of that person. For example, from the diagram you can see that there is one person. He is taught by his supervisor, and according to his instruction, the archer has performed the task. So he has learned the technique under the supervision of his guru. And this concept is called as a supervised machine learning. While in unsupervised machine learning or unsupervised learning type, here we can see the person is learned himself. There is no instruction given by any person. He has just keep the statue of that guru, and he learned himself all the techniques of archery. We can replace these two persons as a machine learning algorithm. So this two person now replaced with machine learning, and now see what is a supervised and unsupervised machine learning. So in supervised machine learning algorithm, you have to provide some instruction outside, and your algorithm will work as per your instruction. While in unsupervised machine learning, there is no input from outer side. The algorithm itself learns from it and it gives the output. Let us see some example. So you may heard about this very popular spam filtering. So what do you mean by the spam filtering in your inbox? So whenever a new email comes to your computer, comes to your inbox, the service provider, it may be a Gmail, it may be any Yahoo, Reddit, any email provider has categorized this new mail into the spam mail or not spam mail. So how the machine is understand the new mail is a spam mail or it is not a spam mail. So before we categorize this new mail into the spam mail or not spam mail, first you have to train the inbox or your email service provider so that they can be differentiate whatever the new mail come to your system, they will differentiate it into the spam mail or not a spam mail. And they will give the categorical separation on the basis of the criteria. So in supervised machine learning, an AI system represents with a data which is labeled, which means that each data tagged with a correct label. So here on left hand side you can say that there are the two labels we are used. First is called the spam and another is called the not spam. So you are given a label to this data set. What mail are come under the spam mail and which mail are come under the not spam mail. Goal is to approximate the mapping function so well that when you have a new input, that is x, that you can predict the output variable y for the given data. So here, a new mail is nothing but your input data represented as x, and the output variable, that is y, means you are categorize your input mail properly into the spam mail and into the not spam mail. This is a supervised machine learning. So keep in mind that in a supervised machine learning, your data must have the label database, and each data has tag with a correct label. This is a requirement for supervised machine learning algorithm. Then another example of supervised learning. Here we are providing the two parameters x and y, where x is the input and the y is the expected output. We are providing the label to x and the y parameter. And this data set is given to the learning algorithm. This learning algorithm take an input of x and y, train the machine learning algorithm, create one model, and when a new input given to that model, the model has to take a decision and give the proper output. So that model may be any predicted database, or it may be give the any categorical data. So based on the model, whatever the model you are used, your input data is categorized into the proper output data. Go to the next. What is the unsupervised learning algorithm? Unsupervised learning AI system is presented with unlabeled data, whereas in supervised we are providing the labeled data. It is also the uncategorized data, and the system algorithm acts on the data without prior training. The output is depend upon the coded algorithm. Subjecting a system to unsupervised learning is a one way of testing AI. So in unsupervised machine learning, the AI system must have the unlabeled data, uncategorized data, where the system algorithm will be act on the data without any prior training, and they will give the output. So let's consider this an example, where you can see that you are providing the some pictorial information to unsupervised machine learning algorithm, and on the basis of their similarities and the dissimilarities, the unsupervised machine learning algorithm categorizes the data into the two categories. So in the upper one, you can see that all the picture having the some similarity. For example, the size of the eye, the shape of the leg, body structure, and so on. So based on these similarities, the unsupervised machine learning algorithm has categorized the input data into the two categories. That is, one category, category A, which has the some similar database or similarities, and in category B, the elements they don't have any similarity, so we are keeping in them in a green box. And the elements having the some similarity, we are keeping them in a one box, that is blue box. Then after, you can give them a label like this. These are all the ducks. These are not a duck. So based on this, your unsupervised machine learning algorithm has given us some output, and after that you are providing us some tagging or the label, that is duck or not duck. So the basic difference between the supervised and unsupervised machine learning algorithm is that in supervised learning algorithm, whatever the data set you are provide, that is a labeled data set. It means you are providing data with their proper category. While in unsupervised learning, the data you are providing is unlabeled, unstructured, uncategorized, on the basis of their similarities and the dissimilarities. Unsupervised machine learning algorithm divide the data into proper categories, and after that you can give them a name or label. For example, you can categorize the input picture into the duck and not duck. One of the famous algorithm or type of the unsupervised machine learning algorithm is the clustering. So here, let us consider I am providing the input value, that is, we want to group the student on the basis of the height. So X is nothing but the height of the student. So the input 1 is nothing but the height of the student 1, that is a 5.2, 5.5, 6.2, 6.1, 4.9, and so on. So based on the input data, this input data is given to the learning algorithm, and unsupervised learning algorithm then make a cluster. It may be a 2, it may be a 3, it may be an n number of clusters, and it categorizes the data into the different clusters. For example, let us see this example. Here, there is some input value of height 5.1, 5.9, 6.1, 6.2, 6.5, 4.9, 5.0, and so on. So what we have to do here? We are making the cluster like this. All the students having the height between the 5 to 6, we are keeping them in a one cluster. All the students having the height 4 to 5, we are keeping in a one cluster. And all the students having the height greater than 6, we are keeping in a one cluster. 6. Okay. So from this data set, our unsupervised machine learning algorithm has made us 3 clusters. So they are keeping all the students whose height is between 5 to 6 feet in one cluster, 4 to 5 in another cluster, and greater than 6 in one cluster. So this is called as a unsupervised machine learning, where we are not providing a labeled data set during the input. The machine learning algorithm has given you the data, categorical data, and then we are using them. Is semi-supervised machine learning algorithm. So what is a semi-supervised? The semi-supervised is a combination of supervised as well as the unsupervised machine learning algorithm, where we are providing the unstructured data but with a label. In a semi-supervised, we are providing the unstructured data set with a labeled data. So this is the basic difference between the semi-supervised. Now, the third type of machine learning algorithm is reinforcement learning. So what do you mean by the reinforcement learning? Reinforcement learning algorithm or agent learn from interacting with its environment. What do you mean by environment? The environment means that where that system is worked. Agent receive a reward by performing correctly and the penalties for performing the incorrectly. So if that agent performs correctly, so it gets some reward, otherwise it gives you some penalties. Agent learn without the intervention from the human. There is no interaction between the human being and the software. The software or machine learning algorithm itself learns from its own experience. The agent learn without the intervention from human by maximizing its reward and minimizing its penalty. It is a type of dynamic programming that train the algorithm using a system of reward and the punishment. So the reinforcement learning is a type of dynamic programming where the system is learned itself by collecting the reward and minimizing the penalty. So how exactly the reinforcement learning is worked? Let us see this example where you can see that there is one agent and he don't have any experience. So the first step is he must observe, and then at the second he has to take any action. So let us consider at the third stage he take an action that he has to move on the left hand side. So when he move to the left hand side, it gets a penalty, not a reward, because when he touch the fire, he gets the minus 50 points. So it gives a knowledge that whenever he has moved to the left hand side and if there is a fire, so he is getting the punishment. So he keep in their mind or in their knowledge or in their database that whenever there is a fire, it is bad. So next time, it has to avoid. So at the fifth stage, he has updated his policy and learned from the previous step. In the previous step, he learned that when he moved to the left hand side and if there is a fire, so he is getting a penalty. So whenever there is a next time, whenever he want to take an action, he first find out if there is a fire or water. So when he find out there is a water or fire, he has to take the proper decision because he already has the previous experience or knowledge. So on the basis of his previous experience or other knowledge, an agent take a decision. So in reinforcement learning is nothing but the decision power system, which is learned itself from the reward and the punishment. This is a pictorial diagram of reinforcement learning, where the agent has to take an action called it as the AI. Action is represent the I, A, that is the first action, and the environment. So before the agent has to move that particular environment, he has to take an action. So once the agent has taken action, he has to get either reward or punishment. So if it is get a reward, it means that his taken action is correct. Otherwise, he has to take another action.